Alright, this ought to be fun. I quite enjoy this job. Ooh, I'm gonna have to throw that in the truck. Ooh, that's a close call. I know, you need an oil change. I love the way this thing starts. Alright, let's get this thing unfolded. This one? No. That one. Aha! Then this one. Yeah! Put you in float. All right, we are ready to go. Just gonna let the tractor warm up a bit. So what am I out here doing today? Well, let's get out and take a quick look. $23.75 and the Fury HS350. I could never remember what it is. HS must mean high speed. This is one of my favorite things to do because it's pretty mindless, but you get to go fast. This is the Versatile high-speed disc. Ooh, what's that? Oh, it's not twine. Okay, I was worried it was twine. Interesting story on this one. We got to demo this when we bought the 610 Delta Track. And that is a great combination, the Delta Track and this. The 375 is just enough horsepower to pull this guy around. It looks like Dad had things set pretty deep. I'll see how it pulls, but I'm probably gonna have to he was doing it with the Delta Track about a month ago. I'm probably gonna have to take some plates out, make it a little bit shallower, or I just go by feel. Either one. This guy just doesn't quite have the weight or horsepower to go deep. It'll still do a great job incorporating this, smoothing out ruts. I like to redefine my edges where I can. Kind of get up to that rock. That rock's got to go. But this is a vertical tillage disc, and on the I'm pretty sure these are 20-inch discs. We have the cupped ones, or what do they call them, scalloped or something, on the front, and then we have smooth discs on the back. It's got this deflector plate. Other than that, oh, and it's got the rubber roller packer with the mud scrapers. Overall, this disc works really well. Doesn't like mud. These will pack up pretty bad. The thing's bloody heavy, so it'll sink in mud and you'll get stuck. Oh well. But yeah, it's a really simple, real easy to use machine, if you can't even call it a machine, implement. Once you've got her unfolded, you put this cylinder and those cylinders in float mode so they contour a bit, and these guys and the tires are your height control. This is your, I guess, depth control, but this is your depth control limit. There's a little chart that says how many to put in for whatever depth. Usually with this tractor, we're only doing about 2 inches, and that's more than enough to do what I'm trying to do today. They pull, I was told, approximately 8 horsepower per foot, depending on depth. Actually, 6 to 10 is what I've been told. 8 is a good average. Luckily, things are fairly dry right now. Should pull pretty good as long as I'm not going too deep. So we shall see what too deep is. Didn't even touch on what I was gonna do. This is a half section here. I'm not doing wall to wall. You can see though, we have lots of spots that are drowned out. We call this half shicks. And this took the most water damage or drown out or unseeded acres this year. So I'm just gonna go in to make sure these are nice and incorporated, so we can hopefully go through them next year. And we're gonna clean up some ruts and just make life a little easier. Wow, this sucks. Can't really see what's going on, so I'm kind of going by feel and sound. Just got to get the right temperature going here. See, I don't know, you can't see. Damn, I had a big lump that I caught. I can always tell that because the turbo will really start to spool up. I think we might have found the right temperature. Things are clearing off pretty fast here. As you can tell, it is not a smooth ride, but it's something that has to be done. There we go. Now we're getting to be able to see a bit. All right, so we're ripping through this drowned out spot. You can see I actually sprayed it this spring, but that was about it. And then I sprayed it again when, whoa, I almost dropped it there. Oh God, I gotta pay attention where I'm going. Missed the spot. Sprayed it again when I was doing my pre-harvest. Not liking that I'm seeing a lot of green foxtail barley. Like, it's foxtail barley, not green foxtail. It's just, I almost think didn't have high enough rate on it, but we're gonna try and stop it. Kill it while it's green. It's not gonna go, the seeds aren't gonna be as viable, hopefully. What I'm up to here. You can probably tell it's rough as hell. Not much for suspension in this thing, aside from your tire pressure and a little bit of bounce in your seat, which doesn't do nearly as much as it should. Oh shit. So you can see I got a big wad coming in there. I gotta lift up out of that. There we go. Oh. That was probably a rock that got caught between the blades. Get back down. Sorry for the crappy cameramanship, but you know, at 8.5 miles an hour, you got to be moving around a lot. You can see there's another spot where I caught a rock, so I'll just kind of wing into it. You have to lift up and let it clear. Sometimes it's not even a rock, it's just a wad. Flips up and starts getting pushed. But more often than not, it's a rock. And it's like football size is the bad size. But where this thing works best is, you know, Through cattails, it does a wonderful job as long as they're not terribly thick. But it does such just a nice uniform bed afterwards. I'm just gonna keep walking around this corner, trying to flatten out some kochia. And all I'm doing is starting on my perimeters and kind of just working my way into stuff. Despite how dry it looks, some of these cattails can still be wet. You would likely hear the engine bog down pretty good. I like to hang the right side as my guide side. Oh, excuse me, just coffee down the wrong hole a little earlier. The reason I like to do that is it's easier to have your hand on the control here and look out the same window, and B, it's got a plate on that deflector plate I showed earlier on the other side. Definitely not going through the middle of this, at least yet. Maybe if we don't get any rain for another 10 days, 2 weeks, I might, or at least anything significant by the end of seeding harvest, I'll probably try and muck it up some, but it's extremely rare that we get a crop in here. And so the worst things for this disc are, and I found this out the hard way, old pickets and rocks in general. Those football size rocks, they'll catch between the discs, and ooh, you can hear it bogging down. Oh yeah, it's on the other side. And they'll stop the two discs from turning, and that just won't let it clear the junk in between. I shouldn't say junk, but trash and stubble, all that other fun jazz. So you can see it bound up there. Oh. Now that I got my perimeter done, I can go the other way. Really nice job there. And I'm not going super deep, and I don't care that it's totally incorporated. I'm just trying to give the soil a chance to breathe, break up the roots a bit. But I like that there's still something there, so that if we end up getting some runoff, we don't get runoff here, get runoff on the other side, this just gets flooded. At least there's some competency to it. Try and swing into this stuff. So I had to lift a bit here. Sore tomorrow. Well, I'm just taking a minute here. Legs are a bit stiff. Ooh, neck is very stiff and sore. This tractor doesn't exactly have suspension. It's just a fixed frame 4-wheel drive. Your only suspension is the seat and whatever little give there is in the tires. I'm not sure if I've talked about this tractor much, if at all, but this tractor's been really good to us. Dad got this on a screaming deal the year I graduated university, so that would have been 2010. Yes. It was right before I went to Saudi Arabia, and it was brand new. It's a Western Edition is what they called it, I think. Doesn't have a ton of features, but that's pretty common to Versatile. The thing is, they pull like a son of a bitch. That's about all they do well. I don't know if they've put $1 into this engine aside from doing oil changes and fluid top-ups. I I had the original fan belt blow on me my first year. It was my second year because we had the disc. Because we went and we parked it someplace, and I remember Dad picked me up, and then I went back out there. I fired it up, and I got to do like a turn, like 100 yards, like would have been from here to the railroad track, and all of a sudden I'm overheating, and I'm like, oh, what's that about? And I happened to be on that, and it was like 9 volts. I'm like, oh, I don't have a fan belt immediately. So other than that, I don't think we put anything into the engine aside from fluid top-ups. As I said, it's very basic. There's 4 remotes. They're all manual, no electric. And it's got the quad shift, which sucks. There's no PTO. Wish we had PTO. You have to put auto steer on after the fact. And I'm not a big fan of these easy steers. They're kind of uncomfortable, and this guy will smash the shit out of your knee. At least the guy my size. But, you know, they got air conditioning. They got good power. These ones didn't have the world's biggest tires, but again, it works fine. This guy has, holy, almost 3,500 hours on it. It's been relatively cheap for us to run, but I hate to say it, I think she's gonna go away fairly soon. You know, we're only putting 150 hours a year on it, maybe a little better. So I would rather have something that could be better fit for what we need. This is just barely enough for this disc. It's too much for other things, or not too much, but it's too something for some things, and it's not enough for others. I pointed out to Dad what I would like would be like a 400 horsepower mechanical 4-wheel drive, such as a Claws or a Fendt, but they're, you know, 450 grand for a used one. But I also think, hey, we could pull a grain cart. Hey, we could pull the disc, a floater, a set of harrows, blah, blah, blah. I think they'd be a really good fit for us. A lot better ride, a lot more features. Yeah, I'm pushing for that. All right, so it's 7 p.m. Not that we have a normal quitting time or anything. It's just I got done this field, which is Shicks, which was Durham stubble. And I got done what we call the Hunter Place, which is a bigger field but had less to do. But yeah, a bit. Which was canola stubble. Got all that done. Problem is, I'm the only one down here, and there's my truck. And the next field is a mile that way. And I really don't feel like walking it. It would probably do good for my legs because they're friggin' sore right now. Because as I mentioned, 2375 cab is not the most ergonomically friendly, especially to a tall person. If I've never said it before, I'm 6'4". I don't fit well in a lot of things. Most things I fit okay in. That cab is too small for me. The other thing to mention is that cab, it's not entirely its fault. It's definitely not designed ergonomically well, but I'm 6'4". I have a long torso, and depending on the time of year and how well I've been overall, I range from like 210 pounds to 220, 225 if I'm being really bad. Which means that when I'm running this thing, where I'm going, 8-9 mile an hour With that thing that doesn't have a lot of suspension, really any to it, if I am running the seat with enough air pressure that I'm not bottoming out all the time, I risk hitting my head on the roof. Yeah, so needless to say, I don't wear my hat when I run it, because I've taken that little, I know they used to call them Smarties when I was in high school or elementary school. Somebody would whack you on top of the head. Anyways, that doesn't feel good. It probably took me longer than it should have to realize it's not a good idea to be running that disc with this tractor with a hat on.